Welcome back for Module 5 of this on-demand training series around selling with Surface Hub. Now, Module 5, we're going to really look at the sales journey and considerations and things you need to think about as a partner or as a reseller of Surface Hub when you're interacting with your customers. Now, selling Surface Hub is much, much more than just selling another box. You know, some of the learnings we've had over the journey since we launched Surface Hub, sort of over 18 months ago, is that to guarantee the best possible customer experience, to ensure they want to come back and they get familiar and are using Surface Hub well, there are a number of areas you need to think about and sort of the hard yards, if you like, of the sales cycle you need to put in to guarantee that and maximize that for the customer. So, of course, there's the transaction of purchase, which is the first part of the journey. Quite often what we find is, and how it typically sort of plays out, is a customer will come in and you'll do a demonstration of Surface Hub to them. They like it, they play with it, they're interacting with it, and they think, wow, this could be a great benefit to our organization, and they want to run a proof of concept. So more often than not, if they can't get hold of an evaluation device to try inside their organization, quite often the customer will purchase one device. Now, it doesn't matter if that's a small customer with 20 or 30 employees, or a super large customer that's got 20 or 30,000 employees, they all tend to buy that in the same way. So they buy one because they want to evaluate it inside their environment, inside their organization, and see how their users interact and the benefits they can derive from Surface Hub. So yes, I could go there as the reseller. I could say, well, here you go, Mr. Customer, and I can take your order and I can sell you a Surface Hub. But there's much, much more than that. Even before we get on to the next stage, and which is really where we talk about the AV installation of Surface Hub, especially when you think about the 84-inch, there are a number of things to consider. This physically is a big device. Depending on your customer's environment, can you actually physically get the 84-inch into the area where they want to from their loading bay? How do I need to think about the number of people that maybe need to do that? Do I need to do it out of hours or arrange parking? These are physical things in part of the journey in terms of how we ensure the Surface Hub even arrives at its destination. What you'll find is our distribution partners have built a number of services and survey services, so before you even complete the transaction and purchase order, they can actually ensure and guarantee and give you customized quotations to deliver a Surface Hub to where it needs to go within the customer. So ensure every single time you are selling, even this very first one, be it a 55-inch or an 84-inch, make sure you have a site survey done. Now, that's a physical site survey around access. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other requirements when we think around integration that also need to be thought about up front, such as network, etc. But think about the physical access and how we're going to get the device in there. So the device is being delivered, it's in the room. We need to think about how we deploy this device. Now, our Surface Hub reseller channel is very broad and is very mixed. We have a number of partners who are specialist Microsoft partners in systems integrators. They specialize in Skype for Business, in Teams, and Microsoft 365 integration and deployment. We have a number of specialist partners who've come from the AV world, who specialize in deploying complex AV solutions inside rooms, inside spaces, and are familiar with that. But what happens a lot of the time is they're not necessarily familiar with all of the parts required to deploy a successful Surface Hub deployment. And these are critical parts of the chain, from the transaction to the purchase, from the AV to the integration to the customer's infrastructure and understanding how it is going to integrate into their infrastructure. And then the most critical piece of all, when we think about that first Surface Hub going into a customer and how we want to ensure it becomes the solution of choice and becomes this catalog motion that they continue to roll out across their environment. And that is adoption. Now, it doesn't matter if you're selling this first device or you're getting onto your 20th device, this has to be done, and it has to be done well every single time. And by adoption, I don't mean just training an end user how to do it or doing a demonstration of the whiteboard and how to do a meeting on there. This is really a case of training end users on the Surface Hub broad capability, and again, leverage some of the tools and the applications we have to help you through that journey on there. Is also enable things like IT pro training. How do I ensure the customer's IT team are really familiar and comfortable with Surface Hub? Do they know how to manage it? How are they going to use it with Intune or an MDM platform to maximize how they look after Surface Hub in their environment, especially when they go beyond one and scale this in there? So think about this and that as an ongoing cycle, and it needs to be revisited on a regular basis. If you do all four of these parts well with that very first unit, including the adoption piece, you will find the cycle in terms of the customer coming back to buy more Surface Hubs, the time cycle reduces dramatically. What we've seen, and we have experiences of this, where this piece has been perhaps missed off altogether, So we don't do any adoption training. We take the hub to site, it's deployed, and it's integrated into the customer's environment, and then we say, thank you very much, we walk away. Then the customer's sort of, well, how am I going to maximize use of this inside my organization? And again, that time to a potential repurchase will stretch right out, or may not even happen at all. So these are just critical things to understand in the journey, and the things you need to consider and discuss with your customer and ensure you have lined up throughout that project of that first Surface Hub deployment. Now, there are a number of value-added services as a partner that you can offer directly, and you need to offer either directly or indirectly, which we'll touch on, to maximize the value both to yourselves and to the customer on there. Let's step through those. So there is the device resale. So this is physically buying the device from a distributor and reselling it to your customer. There are stands, there are warranties, there are accessories. We mentioned in a previous module, make sure you include a couple of additional pens on there. And ensure you extend the warranty. There is a Surface Hub warranty which is now available for up to 5 years. And typically when a customer's buying a piece of hardware like this or a solution like Surface Hub and deploying it in their organization, typically that asset sweats down over about 5 years inside there. So you need to ensure that the customer has comfort and peace of mind that this thing isn't going to be obsolete in a year, and it's fully covered and supported by Microsoft. That 5-year warranty really does enhance that and give that value back to the customer. So make sure you include that when you're thinking about the procurement and the resale of the device. Now, Surface Hub leverages different Microsoft services. As a minimum, it really needs an Exchange resource mailbox. It needs a Skype for Business account on the device to light it up and enable that collaboration experience to happen across there. If you're managing it or the customer's using MDM, it uses Intune as a management solution option on there to manage the device. So does the customer have the right level of software licenses inside their organization? Perhaps you need to engage a different person inside your organization. Perhaps we need to do a brand new Microsoft 365, Office 365 deployment for that customer so they can maximize the benefit of Surface Hub. If this is their first foray into Surface Hub, it's the first one, hey, maybe you can set them up with a demo tenant so to get them operational and get them using Surface Hub real quickly, straight away. Then we move across cloud services, whether we're looking at cloud management or virtual meeting room technologies. How am I going to integrate this perhaps into the customer's legacy environment and legacy video technology they already have? Obviously there's a physical installation. We mentioned the delivery, the setup, surveys, and the project management services around wrapping that up and including the physical installation. So we know this thing is mounted in the space where it's going to go or the room it's going to go. It's connected to power, and it's connected to network, and it's ready to be set up on the customer's environment. Which takes us to the IT integration piece. Now, this can be simple, it can be complex, and it's very dependent on what your customer's environment looks like. If they're a born in the cloud Microsoft 365 customer, then we can set this up very quickly. Perhaps the customer has a hybrid environment with some components still remaining on premise, some in the cloud. Perhaps the network hasn't really been optimized or tuned for running voice and video across there. Do I need to deploy quality of service to maximize my video experience I'm getting between Surface Hub endpoints and other users using Skype for Business? So these are all parts of consideration that you need to think around from the IT integration perspective. Applications. When we've done the application demo, we said there are a number of applications available from the store. You can download canned applications and you can just go out and use those day one. Really, where we see the maximum benefit to a customer, and they really realize Surface Hub as game-changing inside their organization, is if you can think about and build a custom line of business application that perhaps change a line of business process, and how they now leverage that and use Surface Hub to deliver that inside their organization. Now, post-sale services, wrapping this up in a managed service, perhaps wrapping this up in a rental service, user training, adoption, readiness checks, and workshops. All of this lends itself as part of the journey you need to take the customer through around Surface Hub, and the areas inside your organization you need to consider, and where you can maximize your return when you're selling Surface Hub to your customers. Now, it goes without saying that the value to you as a reseller grows exponentially with those services you add on there. These are all really what I say is mandatory services you really need to deliver across there. It has to be installed, it has to be integrated. I have to deliver those services, applications, software licenses, end user training and adoption, and deliver that out across the organization. Now, what we also recognize, we mentioned we have many different types of partners. You know, if you're a systems integrator, perhaps you don't have those in-house AV skill sets, or vice versa. I don't have the necessary in-house skill sets to integrate Surface Hub into the customer's IT environment. What we're seeing work really, really well is when those different types of Surface Hub resellers and partners come together. You know, if you're an AV partner, think about how you partner up with a Microsoft systems integrator so you can offer that complete end-to-end value chain of services that are absolutely critical to ensuring that Surface Hub is a success, you know, within your customers. So, you know, speak to your local Microsoft representative. You know, they can help you connect with other partners or specific partners who can complement your skill sets in-house, or also lean on your distributors or speak to your distributors around the services that they're offering and the value-added Surface Hub services they're offering that may be able to help you fill some of these gaps in there. So you can ensure the customer's going to get a great success out of Surface Hub, and they're going to come back and buy more after they've deployed that first proof of concept device. Again, additional resources are available on our Surface Hub website, or reach out to your Microsoft local representative who can provide more information around the sales cycle around Surface Hub.